so good. Yeah, everything's great. Florida's amazing. Everyone should be here.
Mm.
And yeah.
I was there recently for Gedale Fenster's event. Well, not his event, but there was some Shabbaton there. Eisenberg, yes.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Eisenberg's, Eisenberg's event. I went there, was in Bay Harbor, near Bell Harbor. Took place in Surfside at the shul.
Nice.
I had a great time. I thought it was really different experience than what you conventionally get when you're Yes, I went to Steve Eisenberg's singles events weekend. It was a singles events weekend. It was very different from something conventional out here. Adopt a Shidduchim. My friend and I who went, we were the only New Yorkers there. That was it. We were the only New Yorkers. We were the only New York guys there. There was no other New York guys, a few New York girls. Everyone was out of town. Florida, Pennsylvania, there was a lot of Philly girls. California, a lot of LA girls. A few people flew in from Israel and Britain and Paris. Dude, I sat next to this girl from Paris. She didn't know any English. So I made the joke. Oh, I left my Google translator at home. So I was
brave to come.
She was beautiful, but that's not a dream of mine to end up with a wife who you don't speak their language, literally and figuratively. It was not enjoyable.
Because all men and women are always connected in the same.
I wanted to talk to her. This one just didn't. She didn't know what to say. Oh. So we were translating through the Waiters app, though. I got to say, Gedale Fenster, stud. He is a stud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was very impressed by him. Nothing impresses me today. Nothing. Madam Shid and Avery when he's finding himself. That's it. So seeing Gedale Fenster in person, he was so good. He was regal. He was cordial.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a boss, and he was really humble. And he worked. He worked the whole time. He was not sitting. He was not sitting at this table. 500 singles in the shul in Bal Harbor in Surfside, and he was not sitting and just come up to me. I'm eating. I'm chilling. No, he was working the floor the entire time. Everyone was running over to him. He was going over to people who he knew.
Wow.
The guy didn't sit down and take a break.
Wow.
I was so wiped out. I got a little bit of his speech in, but his speech was really on target with the mantra and values of the show. And he was pretty much saying that you really got to make the investment in yourself, move forward with your life. You don't know when you just be prepared when it happens, do the work, but you can't just sit around. You can't just sit around and think if I continue doing things this way, it's going to happen. Dude, I went to Carlos and Gabby's the other night, bumped into this girl from the Shidduch Corps, said, hey, what is going on, Eliza? And I was like, you got to come on the show. We knew each other in the Shidduch Corps. She's 29 something, and she's good. Okay, why don't you join me? Because I was just went to pig out. I went to pig out at Carlos and Gabby's. She's like, oh, cool, yeah, who else is coming? I'm like, it's just me. She's like, what? Yeah, just me. You're shocked. And she's like, yeah. So she didn't really know what to do. You sit there and process it, honey. And then she ended up coming and sitting with me, and we were talking. And she's, I'm 29. I want to buy a house, and I can't. And why? And she's, well, because, Shidduch system, you have a house, you're moving on in life, you're giving up. And I'm like, no, man, no.
No, not at all.
Not at all. In the pigeonhole mindset, I get that. The regimented mindset, yeah. So that pretty much, and now I'm here. Avery, what do you have to say?
Wow, you really gave me a great lead-in. I want to hear from Ahuva.
We're not interested. We're gonna start the episode.
I have nothing to say.
And Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, episode 98, Return of the Shid Queen. We're here with Ahuva, Holy Shid, Shandelman, and LCSW, co-host of NTS, and the chief creator of Holy _ Shid. Ahuva, what's up in Florida?
Florida is amazing. It's amazing. Winter has been amazing here. I didn't even know it was winter. It's really cool. And I'm all about that. Yeah.
You sound quite relaxed.
I'm super zen right now. First of all, it's past my bedtime. It's 8:00.
Oh.
So I'm basically in bed, but we'll also record a podcast.
Oh, okay, that's good. Recording a podcast in bed. That's something. Have I done that? You might have done that, Avery.
This is
I feel
bed.
this was your bed.
Everywhere,
Was your bed.
yeah.
This was.
I did give you a heads up. You're like, are we doing video? Just phone. I'm just phone. It's a pajama party. It's 8:00. That's
Pajama
late.
Party. I had a podcast I listened to. It was called Pajama Party Podcast. It was with Jamie Lynn Siegler and Robert Eigler, who played in The Sopranos, who were in the Sopranos film, who played the children. And they did a podcast. They had a studio. Everything was set. And literally, by the way, it came out just around the time our podcast came out. And then COVID came because Jamie Lynn is MS, so she's high. She had to quarantine. Then just like it was literally 2 years of Zooming. And they ended up closing the podcast down because another podcasting company signed these two. So it's interesting. So yeah, pajama party it was.
Pajama party with the Shid and nobody talks Shidduchim.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to join that? Who wouldn't want to come?
I can name a few people. Avery's cousin Favry. Avery has a cousin named Favry. Ever think it's all going to be solved after you tie the knot? I do, or did. Well, the good news is that a bunch of it is solved. So a bunch of it is, but the journey doesn't stop there. NTS co-host and Holy Shid creator Ahuva leads us in Shidduch Conjugation in front of the Shidduch congregation. Myths singles have about marriage. Ahuva, what are some myths singles have about marriage? I feel everything's going to be solved. It's done. You can put up that you don't have to grow. I know Avery has been someone who's mentioned this a lot. All his friends who are like, yeah, I'm done. I don't have to grow anymore. I don't have to do anything for society or my family. I'm done. I'm married and it's all good. Throw in the towel. So what are some of the biggest myths?
Well, I think that there are just basic myths. And I think that the thing with myths is that it somewhat exists. It's going to be somewhat true, but it's not going to be either all the way true or always true, which is what makes it a myth. Because if it's never true, no one would ever think that, right? So, for example, a myth is, I won't be lonely anymore. Well, I hope so. I hope that you're a healthy person marrying another healthy person that's going to have a healthy relationship and you're not going to feel lonely. But the truth is that when I'm working with couples, they're often lonely. They're not alone, but they're often lonely and they need to work through that. Is that true for everybody? No. But I do believe that in the span of a marriage, in the life cycle of a marriage, you're often going to be lonely, even though you're not alone. And those are times that you need to work through things and figure out, why am I feeling lonely? I have to go to bed with at night. Why am I lonely? Things like that.
Do you think that's a societal thing in terms of loneliness, that this society that we currently live in because of social media, TikTok, Instagram platforms, whatever, feel lonelier? Or maybe our parents and generations before we even knew what this feeling was felt those same things and just lived with it and didn't name what it was?
Yeah. I think also, Avery, that the expectations of what we're going to get inside of a marriage has shifted, where we sort of look toward one person to fill all of our needs. Where I think that in the older generations, they didn't look towards their spouse for everything, right? Let's say the man, the old school, he brought home the money and the woman raised the children, right? So there was a division of labor. It was understood that maybe the husband wouldn't be as present. You'd have to call a handyman to fix stuff. It was sort of more of an understanding of the roles. And nowadays, it does everything. So it's very easy to get disappointed or to feel alone or to feel let down or to feel not performing fully for you or in the way that you hoped.
I love that handyman analogy. So true, right? Like, yeah, it's so true. There was one parent or spouse, partner. One partner was at home, kind of taking care of things, It's funny because I was watching just the other week. I was watching one of the 2000s greatest comedies. I don't know if anyone remembers, called Duplex with Ben Stiller. And that girl, she's so popular with the lips. What's her name? Drew Barrymore. Are these two people you've heard of?
Me?
Yeah.
Are you? That's like insulting.
I don't know anymore.
Insulting.
I don't know anymore.
You don't know anymore? Was that an age question or you live in Florida question?
It's a Florida thing. It's a Florida age thing. So Ben Stiller, okay, and and it was interesting because actually Ben Stiller stayed at home and he was a writer, so he was always in the house and everything and I think Danny DeVito actually directed that film, interestingly enough. But yeah, and he was waiting at home, waiting for the handyman and waiting for all these things, and it was an interesting dynamic of a relationship. So just thinking about that.
Yeah. So I think that like people get married, they have there's two things happening when somebody gets married, okay? Or when somebody's looking for somebody to get married. They're looking for someone to love and who loves them, that they feel loved by, right? Seen, recognized, known, loved. And then often they're looking for a lifestyle. They're looking for a key, an entryway, a portal into the life they want to live. And this person is going to bring them to that life, right? So for example, if somebody's looking for somebody that's professional, usually they want a certain type of economic status, right? They don't want to they're not looking to marry a teacher. Well, what if they find a teacher? Let's say a girl's going out, this guy's a math teacher, 3rd grade, passionate about what he does. He's the best math teacher on the planet. And he loves her and she loves him, but he's not going to give her the life that she's hoping to get through marriage. She may not marry him. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay, so now what if the same girl then goes out with a lawyer, right? Who is a litigator and he had big accounts and this is it, right? And then she gets married and realizes he has millions of dollars in debt.
Yep.
She's upset.
Incomes.
Because she was not just looking for someone to love her, she was also looking for a key, a portal into the world and into the life that she wanted to live. And I think that was a very basic example with money, but I think that happens a lot where there's an expectation connected to the person that's not necessarily accurate to the person. And I think that these are the myths. These are the myths. Hey, how come I'm not getting all that?
Absolutely. And then people are so scared to pivot off of these things. And that's what life is, right? Pivoting. You have why are people so stuck and regimented? I mean, I know why, but
yeah, I think it's fear and control, right? I'm scared, so I want to take control. So if I'm taking control, then I need A, B, C, and D because that equals ESG.
Yeah.
But then A, B, C, and D don't equal ESG, and then everyone's freaking out, right? Another myth is when I'm married, I'll be more accepted in the community.
Yes, but that's true, though.
So it is true, but I've been speaking to some of my clients, some of my friends. You get married as an older single. You're, let's say, 35, right? Newly married. You're so happy. You move into a community. Now, you're not 20, 21, 22, the newlyweds, but you don't have kids and making bar mitzvahs and PTA and all that, the people your age.
Yeah, that's
so once again, you're feeling very displaced.
I have an uncle that got married at about, I think, 36 or 37. And his kids now are, I think, 17 or 18-ish, in that age range.
Like 10 years
So they're,
below,
10 years below. And a lot of the girls in their class, in their grade, for the most part, were their parents were 10 years younger than my uncle. And every time my uncle would come to pick up their kids from school, they would say, "Daddy, why are you dressed so old? Why is your car such an old car? Look at all the other people's parents. They're just so cool and they're younger." And, okay, that's something you have to think about. Wow, look at the difference. Right. But then again, Isaac likes to say, I'm quoting Isaac here, some of these people, unfortunately, are just mental midgets. Meaning they don't have
they say egregious things
to understand things that are not black or white, right?
Yeah.
So there's that element of it. I went to a kiddush in a shul the other week in a neighborhood that I will not disclose the name of.
Jewish community.
But a very prominent Jewish community.
Very prominent.
Very prominent. Maybe the most prominent.
Ballpark, definitely.
And this person sees me standing in the back, davening next to my dad and someone I knew. And he clearly notices I'm not wearing a tallis. And he makes a comment. So who are you? Which part of the family are you? Oh, that's my uncle. He's making the bar mitzvah, whatever. And so your uncle, he dragged you out he dragged everyone from the neighborhood to come to this thing. You think that's right? You think that's good? What the heck is wrong with you? I think he's a great guy. He's a stand-up person. Everyone enjoys his company. I love my uncle. I appreciate his company. And the guy was just dumbfounded. He had no idea what to say.
Yeah, because he was trying to antagonize you.
For no apparent reason.
And not, by the way, not in a malicious way.
No,
it's just the common New York Jewish culture.
Oh.
Could you believe it? They schlepped you out of the Upper West Side. Like that's the only thing they know. This guy would know what to say.
Yeah.
And you were a target. You had no tallis on. This guy's finally someone that I don't feel insecure around because I got one up on him. And we do that a lot as human beings. I see, especially as from Jews, it's very common as a discriminated minority.
Yeah.
I love it. I actually told a black friend of mine at the lounge, and he's like, I hear what you're saying. I'm like, no one knows discrimination. You, my friend, that. Yeah. He's like, yeah. But I'm discriminated. And I'll tell you because what happened, I told him, I went to see an apartment in a Jewish community out here. No, I'll just say it in Far Rockaway. I'll give you the address. People should go to this guy's house.
Yeah.
I checked it out. I was like, this is really nice. And everything checked out. I brought in these letters of recommendation from Hochul and Governor DeSantis, and everyone was like, I was getting this apartment.
Oh.
And so the guy on the way out was like, oh, by the way, you want to meet your wife? I said, oh, I'm not married. Oh. I said, but I have a girlfriend. Because I knew what he was going to say. And he's like, oh, okay, well, we'll be in touch. I get a text 5 minutes later. We're only looking to rent out the apartment to a couple. To a married couple.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that crazy? And it really does exist. It's just a total discrimination against singles. It happens also at the workplace. I was working with a guy. We were underpaid. We made peanuts, but it was what it was. And I actually got promoted before him. By the way, Jewish place. Second he got engaged, he was told he's getting the wedding package. And he got a high raise. I was like,
that always bothers me so much. It's such a Jewy thing, by the way, where in Jewish businesses, often you hear the bosses ask, if you're interviewing there, the boss will be, how much do you need to make? What?
Wow.
What? How much value do I bring to this company, and how much will you compensate me for that value that I'm bringing? How much do you need to make?
How much do you need?
Crazy. Yeah, how much do you need? And then you have a baby, and they're giving you a raise because now you need more, right? And then it's Yom Tov, so they throw some money at you because now you need a little more. It's like,
off of theirs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's strings attached to that. That's not.
Yeah, there's strings attached to everything, but I'm always going to call out what's wrong. What's wrong? It's wrong.
Nepotism.
Not to say that it's not going to happen at a company that has Mormons running it. I don't know. I've worked for Brits before. Brits. Whoa. Wow. Unbelievable shuffleboard games we would play.
Oh.
You can see, but yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna still call it out, and I think people don't realize that. And if anyone's listening from the Jewish Daily Forward, contact us. We'll do an investigation. I'm ready. I'm ready to wear a wire. That would be fun though. All right, so
they'll have to find out how much of a raise I don't get because I'm single at the podcast, and I work for you.
Oh wait, is this one?
They'll have to. They'll have to
What do you
understand.
mean? IJ's doubling your salary.
I didn't know. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
starting tomorrow. What's
Starting
0
tomorrow,
times double?
0 times Avery.
Oh.
Avery, his cousin.
I didn't know.
His bizarro cousin. Looks Avery
so
just
excited.
is a little greener and has a limp and hunchback. All right, anyway.
Nice.
So interesting about that. Okay, so fine. But actually, I did want to touch up on what you were saying there to kind of move away from these paradoxes that I keep on bringing up. So you were saying before, Ahuva, that doesn't solve a lot. And I actually agree with that. I do agree with that. Because I probably just need to explain
the fact you're not married, right? So being single in the world, and especially in the frum world, is a problem in and of itself. So the problem that it solves is now you're not single. Now you're married. But it doesn't solve all the issues or all the expectations that you may have that don't get met. It actually gives you more problems to deal with, because now you're not just dealing with you, you're also dealing with another person and then the relationship between the two of you. And hopefully there's a lot of joy and a lot of connection and a lot of pleasure and a lot of dreams coming true. Hopefully, I mean, that is what we hope in getting married and starting families and moving forward. There's a lot of good to look forward to. But the challenges are huge in marriage. And then you bring a child in. I mean, this is also hard. I think when people get married younger, and again, depending on who you are and what community and what your rabbi says and what you believe, but people do wait a little bit to have children nowadays, where they'll take a year or two and they'll get to know each other and they'll travel a little bit, or they'll finish their degrees or lay a better financial foundation for themselves. When you get married older, in the older single scene, it's sort of, you have this pressure, like, I gotta get moving on this. Mm-hmm. And you don't always take the time to work through that part of the relationship. And then there's also the stress. Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? Am I not pregnant? So you dive right into so many stressors. And I think that the fairy tale and that halo, like, it bursts. Yeah, it really bursts very quickly. And you need a lot of support. And I also think that friends that have been married a while are the best support for people. That's because I know with my friends that got married recently, they would call me and they're so ashamed to say something. I don't know, I just went to the mikvah on this or that. And I'm, oh my God, that's happened to me 57 times. And they're, really? I'm like, yes. And then they exhale. So I think a great support for newlyweds in general, but especially older singles that are getting married, to really have that married friend, because so many things that you think are going wrong or that are not normal or you're struggling with are things that most married people do.
See, I'm taking the easy way out. I'm just gonna stick to the 20 to 22-year-old crowd, so we don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, and this is an interesting myth. I feel it's a reverse myth in a way, a helpful disillusionment of a myth. Mentioned to me that she always felt as an older single that married people would look at her as never pathetic, almost. Oh, so sad.
That she's single. Yeah.
That she's single.
Absolutely. That's how they look at us. Yeah.
And So here's the perspective. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it. Yeah. And as a married person, maybe I can weigh in on this. But she said how now that she's married, she sees that the married people that she's hanging out with look at older singles with envy.
Yes.
They're so free. They just don't have anything holding them back. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to arrange childcare and this and that.
Total jealousy, though. It's total jealousy.
Yeah.
The ones that don't, meaning, by the way, they're not mutually exclusive. They do both. They're looking at you saying, there's clearly something wrong with you because you're not married. And I would just say, you can go screw yourself. Screw you. Okay. Because you got lucky and it was in your cards and God said, hey, you're going to be married at this age. And that's not you. That's not me. These are our paths. This is the journey. This is what our soul's here to do. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing you were saying is that, dude, they are so jealous. I said it on episode 85, Avery. I told you. They're just jealous. They're so jealous. And I will hype it up in front of them. I'll perseverate about the single life. And we were just talking in the pre-show a little bit. I got a new car. And all right. So I got a new truck. All right. I got the truck. And man, people are drooling over this. They're drooling over the fact that I got the truck at such a young age. I'm just like, man, I'm taking care of myself. That money, if I was married, would be going to the Rosh Yeshiva's truck. Now it's going to mine.
This is true.
Right,
this is
Avery?
True.
Yeah, I would say that on that last point that Ahuva made is that people probably do look at singles or single people with some sort of envy.
Yeah.
People who are free-spirited, who are living their life authentically, who don't have all this pressure weighing down on them and are not trying to fit into some sort of mold or model that they potentially aren't able to fit into. It would make sense that they're happier and feel lighter. And I know for myself, when I feel like I have more options in life, sometimes I can breathe again. I always have to go back. I have to like remind myself, okay, I have options. I'm not stuck in my job. I'm not stuck in this relationship. I'm not stuck feeling this way about myself because of whatever reason. And I think, like you said, people need to find spaces where what they're doing makes them feel normal and validated. So if that's hanging out with your single friends, maybe that's what you need. If that's hanging out with people who are more positive about some sort of aspect, a book club, a Republican club, a country club, a Democrat club, it doesn't really matter what, but it's something to, take on as your own and pursue.
Envelop themselves
in a passion. Yeah. That's why I think you see so many people nowadays searching or being extremely dedicated. I mean, I live in Manhattan now, so I see so many young people protesting, whatever, this life matters, that life matters, Trump in prison, whatever it is. They're dedicating their life to some sort of passion. They're so consumed with it that, people will hate what they're doing or not doing. I don't know. Or a religious passion. If someone wants to be a Rav or a Rebbe, they're so consumed with it that it envelops their life and they don't have to worry about it. But people from the outside will try and tear it down because it makes them uncomfortable. So
that's very true. And I think that married people and single people, it makes sense for us to spend more time together, but we end up dividing into these subgroups because married people often want to feel that freedom and that lightness, and hanging out with your single friends could help get some of that air, some of that freedom, some of that lightness. And in terms of the single friend, I think it also is helpful to hang out with married people and to hear the goings on in their lives so that there is not as much of a disillusionment when hopefully it's their turn.
True. Though everybody has that 1, 2, or 3 married friends. No offense, married people. I'm not picking on you, but you make plans to go out and they say, oh, let's go out. Oh, the wife's tuna casserole from lunch came up. I can't. It came
right,
back.
but that's BS. I mean, we all know that's BS. It's like, I need to ask my husband or my husband. That always irritated me, literally since I'm like a young teenager. What does that mean that when a woman asks another woman, hey, do you want to go out? And the answer is, I need to ask my husband. It just is so irritating. It's so
codependent.
Codependent, dehumanizing.
Yeah.
It's why don't you just say, I love that idea. Let me get back to you once I can see if I could figure it all out.
Let me think about that. Let me check my calendar.
Let me check my calendar. Let me make sure I don't have anything else going on, and I would love to meet you. So anyone that's using the wife card or the husband card, it's just an easy way out for them not to go.
Yeah, I mean, and you could see that in a society as well. Some people who are just married to their job or married to their career will use that as an excuse as well.
Yeah,
I have a roommate who is just working around the clock, jobs, this, that, speaking to recruiters to find new jobs, speaking to recruiters to find jobs as their recruiter. I don't even know what, but just to find different ways to scheme up and make more money. And I'm, oh my God, this is what this guy's doing in his 20s.
Yeah, good for him.
Go ahead, go live your life trying to chase a new job. I hope it works. I hope that makes that. It wouldn't make me happy. I understand it for him. I get it.
It is definitely something that also irritates me, especially when I was a traveler, Shabbat meal traveler, and I'd always hear, I got to check with my wife. I'm like, just tell me you'll get back to me or check the calendar. That's normal, man. You don't have to blame the wife. And also, I've seen it on TV, and there. where you kind of downplay. You make the partner, you make your wife or your husband the bad guy. Why can't you do it?
And you're also presenting yourself as so weak. I get that maybe there's a kind of respect. Oh, of course. We all married people are going to check with our spouses before we make plans to be out for the night. It's a normal human, decent thing. Especially if you have children, either you have to have a babysitter or your husband's going to be home or your wife's going to be home. It's obvious. It's just the response, the automatic response to tell another human being that upon being asked if you want to hang out. I feel there's so much disrespect to self and disrespect to other in that type of answer. I could be hypersensitive to this, but it always irritated me. And I don't know why this is triggering another trigger that I'll just bring up. Maybe it's connected to this. Is I'm so triggered when a wife calls the husband the daddy or tati or abba,
gross,
addresses them, right? It's like so dehumanizing of the relationship. You understand you're each human beings and your people and your husband and wife. I understand telling the child, go ask your dad or go ask daddy when you're talking to your child, but to actually address a spouse as abba or daddy or ta or whatever it pops, it's just grating. And I think somehow these two are related. It's just it's disrespectful to self and other, and it's disrespectful to the relationship, whether it's outward toward a friend, to yourself, or to your spouse. It matters. Can we just talk about that? Yeah. It really matters because it reflects how you think and what you believe. And what you believe and what you think is actually what you end up manifesting in your life. And I often feel if we clean up certain things in our language, you're going to have a completely different life. So here's something that I recently started doing. It's like really has crazily changed my life. I started changing every but into and.
Yes, and.
Right? I'd love to come out, but I have PTA, right? Like I'd love to come out and I have PTA that night.
It is that I was watching randomly on the plane. When I went to Florida, they had Real Time with Bill Maher popped up, and I'm obviously I'm not politically aligned with him, but I think he's a chiller and he's an old school guy. And he had this doctor of wordology vocabulary on, and this guy was insane. I got to get the info over for that, and he was saying the same thing. He hated how people say but, and he was these idioms that have come up. He was pontificating on. This guy was on an intellect I've never heard about before.
Wow!
So
send me that link.
I gotta send it to you. Yeah. And who was he on with? He was on with I wish I was prepared for this. Where's the engineer here? Get it on the screen, Jamie. They're doing Rogan. Yeah, it was all these classic terms people use.
Yeah, and it's not just that it's irritating to hear the terms, it's actually limiting your life because it limits your belief system.
Yeah.
And then your life is as small as the way that you talk, right? Yeah. So I heard another one recently that I used pretty soon after I heard it enlightened me. It was changing only to already. So let's say I only made one thing for Pesach, or I already made something for Pesach.
Right. That's incorrect.
It's so expansive. It's so kind. Yes. It's so positive. It really changes the way you talk, changes the way you feel, the way you believe.
Yeah,
right.
I've seen it with millennials. It's interesting. I think you, me, and Avery are going to have that challenge continuing going forward because there's been so many idioms created, and that's what it is. It's an idiom. It's been created via the texting platform, meaning people text now. We did not grow up with that, where you were chatting on a computer maybe for 30 minutes a day in computer class. That's when we did it. Or if you were able to download American Instant Messenger, you were able to do that, and you were able to message some cute girls from Ahuva or NCSY or whatever. So I remember doing that. Yes. So exactly that. First of all, I did have to say, if I'm dating a little fine young thing and she wants to call me daddy, I'm totally down. The second thing I wanted to say
I hope you understand what you just said.
No.
I hope you realize how cringeworthy.
It was cringeworthy. Okay, like I being a 21-year-old approved girl. Ahuva, send over a few after the show. Do me a favor, okay? I know Avery wants to ruminate on this for the rest of the day.
No, I'm not. But I do actually. I'm going to be spending the whole night writing about it in my journal.
That's the way I do it, man.
Do you know what zaddy is?
Daddy. Wait, was what?
A zaddy with a Z.
Oh no, what's a zaddy?
Is that a zadie?
What is that?
Yeah, I feel it's an older dad. A zaddy.
Zadie. I heard some weird
Not
stuff
zaddy,
on this.
it's like zaddy. Yeah.
Oh, non-binary zadie, daddy. That's
No, it's a white salt and pepper haired hot dad. Zaddy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to add this to the list. To the list.
To the wordologist. Yeah.
I have to get you that. I'm gonna get you that clip, and it was great. And he was going on a tantrum. I hate it. Just let's think of a common thing people say today. What's a common thing people say today?
Well, talking about idioms and texting and the way that we've been programmed in our generation, so that if you have an iPhone, and I'm sure Androids have this too, but I'm just not familiar, you can type in words on your keyboard for autocorrect. So if you ever type in bud, it just changes it to and. That's pretty cool. We can have this self-correction. Wow. If I ever type in only, it could just change it automatically to already. So maybe it's time to empower ourselves with technology instead of blaming technology for the way that we've been limited in language and utilize it for expansion. Yeah,
it's a tool. It's a tool that we can use to uplift our lives as opposed to the way many people talk about generations.
Yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk was just saying that. He was just saying that. Tool. Gary Vaynerchuk's new mantra is he's going on social media. He's like, I'm sick and tired of parents saying how social media is destroying this country. Technology is destroying the world. Enough. Everything, I'm doing his voice. Everything is moderation, man. Everything's in moderation. That's what we need to learn.
There's an addictive quality to the way that children and adults are using technology. So Gary V, call me up. Let's talk about this. There is an addictive nature to technology.
I mean,
so I agree that technology and social media can be used for good. I completely agree with it. But how many children, how many adults, how many teenagers have such a virtual existence all week long that Shabbos becomes painfully isolating because they cease to exist in the world through their phone
I don't know
portal.
how they do it. I don't know how they do it today, bro. Wow.
And their physical presence and their physical lives are much less developed than their virtual online presence. So turning that off and sitting with self that's underdeveloped because of this is a very, very painful experience. So Gary V, yes, I get it. And parents can do 30 minutes a day or none. I told you last podcast, we moved to Florida. There are no screens in my home. That is a decision we made as parents.
I didn't know that.
However, my children are going to grow up and they're going to make their own decisions and they're going to have their own challenges. I have my own challenges with phone and technology and social media.
Yeah, exactly.
We all do.
Yeah.
So there is an addictive nature to the way that phones are in our hands, availability, easy, the amount of very small attention needed to get a lot of information, the stimulation. It's Gary, I feel there's a missing piece to that argument there.
I hear what he's saying in a sense.
Right. We're not going to capitulate.
And I hear what you're saying that that as society moves on and generation becomes more efficient and technology advances even more so, we're going to have more and more tools that are just TikTok and Instagram and Facebook that will envelop and take up more of our time. Back in the 80s, 70s, 60s, whatever, back in the early era of America, people would just go to bars, become alcoholics after work instead of, or become sex addicts.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen less of that because instead of sex addicts, they're porn addicts, right? Instead of, alcoholics, they're doing whatever on their,
there's just there are more vehicles
and using
there are more
to
vehicles
to hit their dopamine. Exactly.
Whatever it is, whatever it is. Yeah. They could be workaholics.
They could be workaholics.
They could be,
Yeah. It's interesting that I learned by Parshas Noach. My father told me this for Torah, that the Mabul went into the earth as deep as a plow can dig. So let's say 3 feet or 5 feet, whatever it is, that's the amount that the marble went into the earth. And it was because Noah invented the plow, which I didn't know either.
Yeah,
so that was a big piece of technology.
Yes.
And what did, now that there was a plow, people had to work a lot less time to accomplish the same task. And the problem was what they did with that extra time that they just got through technology. And I think that this is age old. This is the flood. This is why God destroyed the world. This is what happens when we have technology and the time freed up is not then used for the betterment of the person, of the soul, and of humanity.
Rebbitzin shit. That was awesome.
I think we got to the
and that totally, you could totally correlate that to to the technology today. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But I just think it's not just necessarily about whether you're filling that time, it's how you're filling that time. So let's say you're filling it by, okay, I'm going to be classic IJ here, but going to shul, talking Lashon Hara with the boys, putting down the rabbi and throwing popcorn in the middle of Shemon Esrei at the single guy, just trying to make a living. Yeah, that's not good. But if you're like off to an improv class and you're trying to find yourself and work on yourself, that is a good thing. That is a good thing.
Right. So I think that what's happening today is
specific.
Avery. Yeah.
We're impervious. Avery's impervious. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah. What's happening today is we have Instacart and we have Amazon and we don't have to go to 10 stores to get our groceries. We can just have it delivered and things are so much easier. But then what are we doing with that extra time freed up? I mean, people are doing a lot of good things, right? We're sort of just focusing on what could go wrong. We're scrolling Instagram for those extra 3 hours a day. What happened with that time?
Yeah.
What happened with that time, right? So technology is great. Look, it frees up all our time and this and that, right? We get all these different Torah and inspiration right to your phone. Okay, so how much time did it free up? And now what are we doing with that time? You know, we're all guilty of this in some way because the technology that's making it so easy and so convenient and saving you so much time is the same technology creeping in to the crack that you just opened up. So it's like quicksand.
Yeah, and Ahuva, but it's interesting because the juxtaposition there is that if you succumbed so much to that, to what you're saying, and that you're technology driven, etc., you're going with the latest trends. It's so opposite of what a Shabbat offers if you're observant, and that could be good or bad.
Right.
Used to hang out with a friend to be like, oh man, when I worked 7 days a week, I don't know how I can go back. And then there's you're saying there's some people, there are people out there, dude. They don't have to be kids, bro. They don't have to be kids, man. I know. My friend logged in on Shabbat and told me who it is, and he's like, "No, but the people who are of any age, just I can't get off my phone now. It has become my life.
It has become their life, so you exist in that space, and also there's a lot of numbing available through our phones and through technology, and we live in a generation with a lot of pain, and it really is a painkiller. So for many reasons, people can't put it down, but I do see how the Torah, although so ancient in its origin, is so modern in its application. There are people paying thousands of dollars to go to unplugged retreats. They could hear their own selves. They could find their own souls to reconnect with self. We have this every single week built into our lifestyle. So I think that God knew, obviously God knows everything and there's no time, but that as the world evolves and becomes more technological, Shabbos becomes more and more and more relevant to preserve the soul and to preserve the self. Yeah. And I think now more than ever, we need to realize we don't keep Shabbos. Shabbos keeps us.
Right. That there is a I'd say total opposite approach to that mentality as well. So for example, I would kind of come back and say that there are people who are able to do it on their own. They're able to disengage and find spiritual connection through other vehicles and other outlets and other ways.
But it's always through disconnecting. You can't find yourself and your soul and your inner voice while connected to all that. It's impossible. You can't meditate like that. You can't be in a therapeutic environment that it's impossible.
I think some
to
people
connect
are,
to self
people are so
without
scared.
disconnecting.
People are just so scared of being alone with their own thoughts and feelings that you said they look for anything they can to numb whatever it is that's going on. I know for myself, I've had Shabbos alone. And at times I can sit and I can read a book, and then in the middle of reading for an hour or two, I'll just all of a sudden have some sort of anxiety, panic attack come in out of nowhere.
Sorry for laughing.
Don't laugh. It's true. I'm being real.
Because I have related.
I'm being real.
Sure.
I'll just sit in. I'll be like, oh, okay, this. I have to think. I am okay and comfortable with myself at this point in time, doing whatever it is I'm doing. There's nowhere else I need to be. There's nothing else I need to be doing. I'm just being present with myself.
Then why is your body doing? Oh, so you're saying you have to calm yourself down?
Yeah, I have to.
You have to calm yourself down. You're not used to it.
These are
you're
mantras.
not used to it.
Mantras. Have you heard of mantras, Isaac?
Yeah, it's you're getting off of sugar. You're getting off of sugar.
Right,
you're going to have migraines.
Your brain chemicals, your thought
that
patterns.
It's okay that you're alone.
Exactly. That it's okay.
Totally.
And you accept yourself.
Totally.
That's when people will stop and say, oh, that Shabbos thing, that's not really restricting anymore. That's Ahuva said. That's life. That's me.
This is absolutely a panacea to really getting better, more secure than insecure, developing the insight you have to your body and your mind, what they're saying, what they want to do, what they need. Like I've had jobs where I was out there the whole day. I had I couldn't think doing installations in my in the tech business. And dude, I could be on the floor for 16 hours. Nothing hurts me. I'm Superman. The second I'm finished with the project, I'm walking out, and all of a sudden my leg hurts and my neck hurts, and oh God, everything's totally creeping up on me. And I realize, oh, now I'm more in tune with my body, or what is that saying? But to go back to what you were saying, Avery, to pivot back to what you're saying, yeah, man, dude, this alone is I don't know what I'm gonna do when I meet her, the right future Mrs. IJ, because I love Shabbat alone. I don't know if I want to go back to the crowd.
Well, you could be alone together.
I don't. Is it possible, Ahuva? Is it possible? Can someone do that?
Another person that enjoys their own company can definitely be alone together with you. And I think that is so awesome. It's almost like you go on vacation with someone and you're both reading books at the beach. You don't have to be their entertainment committee. If you're alone together.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And it takes two people that are comfortable with themselves and they're not in a lot of pain.
Yeah,
and I think the whole thing with Shabbos is you're not going to get to a place where you can feel Shabbos recharging you and centering you unless you're not in a lot of pain. If you're in a lot of pain, you just need those painkillers, right? So I do think that we need to have this discussion of people are in a lot of pain and what can you do to not be in that much pain? Because when you're not in pain, there is so much beauty in being together with yourself. And when you could be together with yourself, you're most prepared to be in a relationship because the codependency factor is not there. You don't need the other person. You want the other person.
Yeah, I see it all the time in the improv scene work, or at least in scenes in general. People who come in chastising or demeaning their partners in the scene end up having the worst scenes, end up having scenes that the connection is totally gone. Yeah, there's absolutely no connection. But
That's
people who are able to
they become apathetic.
Right. People who are open to understanding, who are, number one, comfortable with their self-identity by putting themselves in uncomfortable positions or playing uncomfortable characters, using weird, silly voices, making ridiculous gestures, which is fun and or really strange, acting an animal, for instance, because that's kind of what we are. But that's a character.
Yeah.
And people who are okay doing that and then accepting what someone else is doing, those are the people who flourish, who do the best. And
kind of the opposite of the business world.
It's the business world. I've had improv coaches who do business and corporation trainings, and they do say that the business world is different, but it depends on, I'm going to use but in this instance, it depends on who you're training, right? So, yeah, most corporate people are in it for themselves. It's a me world. I want to make my business flourish. But the people who do best in business and who really have a great impact and a global impact on the world are the people who care about other people.
Yeah,
the doctors who care about their patients. The doctor who cares about his intern and who wants to help him succeed will be the one who helps everybody else. Yeah. The more you give, the more you get back.
Shark Tank, you see it. It's all about you could see it in the shark's eyes, Shark Tank and ABC. You can see it on Lori and Mr. Wonderful. If you remind them of that kid in high school they went to, or that guy that they got stuck with at the airport, or that old college girl, they're okay. I want to do the deal with you. I want to jump in.
Have you ever had?
That's what I see.
Have you ever had a boss who you knew only cared about dollar bill, money? Everything comes down to the price of something, course, right? We've all had that boss. Yeah. And have you ever had a coach or a coach in sports who you knew didn't care about the game, just wanted to help you develop and get better at whatever it is you're doing? A teacher, a professor, you name it. That's what it's. That's the feeling, the supportive feeling that I think people need.
Yeah. I've been in that kind of triage.
Yeah. And I think that coach that wants to help you and it's not about the game, he doesn't need enough inner confidence. He's not dependent on you to make him feel good, right? So it's the same thing in dating and in marriage. We need to feel whole and good about ourselves regardless if our spouse is able to make us feel that way in that moment. Overall, of course, we should be making our spouses feel incredible and seen and valued and whatever it is they're beautiful. And if they're talented, feel talented. And if they're a go-getter, we should reflect that. They should be known through us. But if there's a off day where they're struggling with something, or they're down, or they're going through a hardship, and they're not able to be a mirror back to us, and and that makes us very ready for a relationship. So the better sense of self and confidence we have, and the more whole that we come into a relationship, any relationship, right? Whether it's a coach, a teacher, a job, a boss, but for sure in dating and marriage, the more likely we're going to have a healthy marriage where we can be alone together.
Yeah. It's just having the ability to put your ego aside and say that I am a cog in this machine that's going to make this relationship work.
And also like hold space for another person to be going through a hard time without disappearing, right? So if I only exist because you tell me I exist, then if you stop telling me I exist, I don't exist, right? So if my spouse, if my husband's going through a hard time and he can't see me in that moment, or he can't validate me in that moment, or he can't be that supportive love out because of something he's going through, and all I could think about is how I don't know who I am anymore, then I can't even be supportive to him.
I was just watching Degrassi, doing a little rerun on Degrassi, and it was season 8, I think, when they went to L.A. Degrassi takes L.A., right? I think Los Angeles. Cute. It was a cute TV movie at the time. Remember TV movies, everybody? And so it was a 4, maybe even a 6-part episode. It was so interesting. And so this girl, Manny Santos, who was one of the leads, they brought her back for this special. She was dating her college professor, and he was such a prick, just putting her down, and really two people didn't work well together. And she realized that, and this guy Jay, who used to be, he was a main character as well, he was trying to make her realize, look at you. Everyone was trying to make her realize, you're different. Look at the way this guy's talking to you and putting you down. And when Jay saw it, because Jay had dated her, and they were a great couple, probably one of the best couples in the show, he heard this stuff, but he didn't know. And then he saw her start shaking, trying to text this guy. And so he smacks the phone out of her hand, and he's like, you shouldn't be talking to him. And she's, yeah, well, I need to. He's my boyfriend. And look what he's done to you. And then she just starts to cry. And then he grabbed her and gave her a hug, and they got back together. But that's a strong partnership when you don't even need to talk about it. No bull, no BS. Just he smacked the phone and he gave her a hug, and we knew what she needed. It was great. It was great. It's nice watching the old stuff. Now a little bit before I was saying, kind of led into the overture, I guess, of this. So there's this philosophy that you do you, and this is a little bit of what we were talking about, but there's this you do you and I do me philosophy. But when you're married, a big chunk of ourselves are committed to our spouses, right? We have to, it changes. Obviously, you have part of your life is going to be your spouse, your partner, whatever. So what percentage do you think, Holy Shid, should you in your mind, just as a game plan, just to make sure it's done appropriately, like needs to be like me time, you time. And we were talking about this just a few moments ago when you were saying, IJ, what if you could be alone together? But give us I need some numbers. I don't know. What am I supposed to be, husband or boyfriend for 80% of the time, and then I only get 20? Or how does that work? Because I think it will lead people into a successful relationship. They'll be able to go into a relationship and not screw it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a numbers person, honestly. It's hard to put a number, but I think these two conversations sort of blend really well into each other.
Yeah,
we need to be a complete person on our own. Once you're in a relationship, there's 100% commitment. There's not 99.999% commitment. It's you're 100% committed to be the best version of yourself in order to be in the best possible relationship with another person and to care for them and to be a safe space for them and their vulnerabilities and to grow together toward your common goals. So you're 100% self in order to be 100% committed to the relationship. And I think that the people go off because you're not giving 100% of yourself to the other person. You're giving 100% of yourself to the relationship. There's no loss of self. That is self.
To the relationship of that.
So what's some sort of way you can measure your individuality when it comes to being in a relationship? What are things that you need to do to stay your individual self and to really appreciate yourself?
Well, I think that's a really good question, and I think that we could learn a lot from singles. Married people can look at singles. How would I do if I was single right now? Who would I be?
It's a great question.
What would I be? Who would I be? How would I feel? What would I be worth? What would I do? Where would I go? What would I put energy into? Who would be around me? Who would I be around? You need to know yourself as a self. You need to be able to exist. I mean, I travel alone, honestly. Not as much since I moved to Florida, but living in New York, I really felt the shortness of air there. And every few weeks in the winter, every 3-4 weeks, I would just go to Florida for 2-3 days. Sometimes I'd go with my husband, often I'd go without because it's just easier not to have to make arrangements with the kids. I have no problem getting on a plane and spending Thursday to Monday alone in a hotel. No problem.
Me too. I'm that also.
Right, but you're single, right? So I have married friends that are, oh my God, how do you do that?
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, without what? That's crazy. Alone? Right? They can't. So there's lack of self right there.
They become, it's leaving your house without your wallet and your phone. It's what? Where is my, what? You're not attached to me? Husband of 35 years?
Right. Right. And it's also your spouse. I would imagine that it's even more loving and more flattering and more endearing to choose your spouse, to be with your spouse over and over again when you're so okay alone. Whereas if you're a codependent or needier person, I can't go without my husband, then can you come with me? Do you want me there or do you need me there?
Do you want me there or do you need me there? Yes.
It's different. It's really
It's
different.
so different. It is so different.
Yeah. Remember that
Yeah.
situation? I think it was maybe I was dating someone, and I looked back on it and I'm like, oh wow, it was a situation. I think I was dating someone, and I was so not comfortable being seen anywhere in public.
Oh,
And
wow.
I look back on it and I'm like, oh wow,
That was so
this
not
was
meant to be.
a while ago, but
Oh my God. Oh
it just reflected and revealed a lot about how
Yes.
I was thinking, and I'm sure still how I currently.
It's so antithetical
think.
to who you are now.
Is it though? Is it
Oh,
really?
maybe. Oh, it's
know?
true. You're right, because it moved.
Yeah.
It
It
changed.
just develops, right?
It develops.
just
Yeah.
develops.
Oh,
That
interesting.
same-
Yes. Yes.
Right. That same
Yeah,
desire.
I'd always get freaked out. People that. Well, in my youth, no. In my youth, I'd find people that revify creatures. They would just be creatures. I'd be, whoa, you're a science project.
Mhm.
But now, I notice, whoa, it's a little too much. So, for example, where did we go? We went to this Gedale Fenster event, and yeah, there were a lot of people there who pretty much were on the spectrum, had autism or Asperger's, and we knew them from some other events. And it was certainly a conversation to have with myself and others. My friend also had it with him. Am I going to even say hi to that guy? Because not because I'm embarrassed to see myself with him, not because I'm not interested in seeing him or don't want to be affiliated with that, but as part of being on the spectrum, someone is not going to get the social cue for you to kind of get away, so you can just be there trying to get women, because that's all you're there for. That's all I'm there for. I'm just there for the girls. And if I was a guy, if I was a girl, I'd be there for the guys, right? So, yeah, that's that I'm still dealing with today.
And especially since I have a bunch of non-Jewish friends that I've met over the improv year, I guess it's been that type of thing. Would I be able to open up my life to invite these people to a Shabbos table sort of situation, bring them into my life, or
Yeah.
and how much do I want to get into their? It's those thoughts creep in, and I'm sure it's a similar feeling to what a spousal relationship encounters in some sense, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So, Ahuva, I think we're the same. We're really us single people we're just humans. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're really not that
yes.
different. I mean,
Well,
have kids. Isaac's had kids. There's nothing.
that would be pretty cool. No, I always actually talk about, because there's a single guy in my office. He's 49 right now. He always tries to relate to me because he really is already a father age. But for me, he's not that close in age because I'm older. But he's always trying to say, "No, I relate to you. I get it." And I'm to you now, dude. When you were my age, you had a kid. You were a kid, man. You were still single. So you and I get the dating scene. But the reality is that you had a kid, bro. It's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think having the kid is a little bit different. But certainly we could still try to empathize and sympathize and kind of relate. It's a good way to relate. It is a good way to relate.
I have a yo-yo, Ahuva. Okay, kids.
Yeah.
Yo-yos are.
I
similar.
actually did it the other day. I'll tell you. I was hanging out at the lounge, and we actually had a government come in, a former government official, great guy, and he brought his friend, who was an old man, an old drunk. So they started coming in and hanging out, and it was a little odd. It just wasn't the scene, wasn't our typical lounge club members. So we started conversing. We had a great time. They're very, very religious men. So I'm talking Judaism. They're talking Catholicism. And then we have another friend of mine there who was not either or, just a godly person, but not a religious follower. And yeah, he was pretty much. It was quite the discussion here. I totally forgot where I was going with this, but anyway, I was the hero, and everyone was bowing down to me at the end of the night.
That must have felt really
What a
good.
story.
Yes, I had such a great point. I had such a intense point, and I was totally. Where was I going with this? Okay, fine. Anyway, back to our list over here. So pretty much, what do you say, Avery? 30. So wait. So Ahuva's actually really interesting here. She's saying that you shouldn't have a number because you just need to be 100% committed into the relationship as your partner would be. So that's actually really interesting. That's actually really interesting. And then you were saying that we can still have our personal time as well. You can't compromise that. And that's how we're
and I
getting
think
into this whole thing.
both parties can have that, so that there's not, I feel like when only one party needs a personal time, it could feel insulting, or why do you need time away from me, right? But if both parties are full selves and they'll both understand the need for alone time at times, whatever that means. And it's less possible in certain stages of life and small babies and things like that. But as it becomes more possible, and if people have the help that they need and the support that they need, the family around or paid help, time spent alone is so important, especially nowadays.
Well,
and it should be fueling the relationship. It's not to be apart; it's to recharge, so that you can come back more whole to the relationship.
Oh, I love that, the recharge thing. Yeah, well, but we have a whole married generation who just didn't have that. They just don't have the aptitude or proclivities for that, because they never, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a common thing in the Altaheim. And so we're still educating them in a sense. My favorite thing,
very different world.
My siblings' favorite thing I say is when I go, it sounds like Darla. Sounds like you need me time. And they giggle because they don't even know what it is. Let me tell you what me time is. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah.
That is, maybe it is a new age thing. I think that when you say Altaheim, in the older generation, our parents, our grandparents, post-war, no one wanted to be separate from anyone ever.
Yeah.
There was that intergenerational trauma where you just didn't do anything alone. You stayed together.
Yep. Interesting. Yes.
Yeah. And as we're getting further and further away from it and we're healing that trauma, people are more okay to be independent and to flourish in that way while being in a relationship. And obviously these things have to be negotiated. Well, what are you doing when we're away? If there's distrust, this is not going to work. I'm talking about two healthy individuals that are loving and trust each other. I'm not talking about one spouse running off to go to Vegas for 3 days with the guys when the wife's home feeling sick to her stomach about what her husband might be doing. That is not what I'm talking about here.
Yep. We thought you alluded to that. Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, that's
I think there's some sort of, I would say, a dangerous misillusion, if that is a word. I don't even know. Some sort of dangerous illusion that may go on, which is promoted in yeshivas, and this is going to be controversial. So Isaac, take your Jewish star off. That people who are sitting and learning
get rid of
for 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day or whenever they're not with their wife are doing the best thing for society, and then ultimately end up treating their wife chopped liver or whatever communities that we all know about.
Right. So there's a lot of emphasis on development of self, right?
Yeah.
But the message is your development of self is giving your wife her portion in the world to come.
It's not only sexist and dehumanizing, it's just, it gets leads such a bad example for people.
Yeah.
So
there's a sacrifice being made, right? So the husband is involved in self-development, whether it's a brain, mind thing, whether it's a character development thing. The husband is learning all day. To me, that's self-development, hopefully, if it's done well. And the wife is at home alone, managing the home and the children, because she really, hopefully, believes so deeply and so truly that what he is doing is saving the world, is changing the world, is bringing Mashiach, is creating shifts in the universe for the betterment of all of humanity, and that she is earning her felas on Olam Haba through what he is doing. And her job is in the home. Now, if really everybody believes this, there shouldn't really be resentment. It does leave the woman alone. It does leave the woman struggling. It does leave her. But let's say you add $5 million a year to that story. Is she struggling?
Oh.
I don't know. I just know that I mean, I don't know anything. I just would think that if she had the opportunity to understand or express an opinion that valued herself and what she wanted and not what the Rebbeim and teachers and seminaries taught her to want, that maybe she would want to really fulfill her own some sort of dream initiative that didn't involve being the breadwinner and stay-at-home mom, or vice versa, or a single thing. I don't know.
Right. It could be, but it also could be that that is her belief system.
That could be, yeah.
And if really that is her belief system, she's doing okay, even on a hard day. Because think about it, Avery. Let's say you take a woman whose husband is in real estate, and she's a lawyer, okay? And she has a nanny at home raising her children. She's also having hard days. She's also angry at her husband for not being there. She's also...
Yeah. Everybody hurts. Avery... Oh, I think Avery, yeah.
Oh, I think we
so
lost.
the aloneness
the Russians are
across
us.
all belief systems. The Russians are hacking us?
Yeah, because you cut in and out.
Cut out on that last.
Yeah. We're going to edit it there. Go ahead.
But Avery, you understand and economic classes.
Yeah.
So it's about husbands and wives really having a good relationship and taking the time.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh,
life where you're putting in the hard work for what you believe. Because working hard for something that energizes you is very different than working hard for something that drains you. We're all working hard. Got to make sure it energizes you.
Yeah.
You're right in that sense.
Yeah, but Avery, I could imagine your depiction exists, and I feel bad for that scenario. But I do believe that there's people that you've depicted that just feel amazing about what they're doing. Yeah, they had a hard day. Okay. So I have a hard day sometimes. See 8, 9, 10 clients one day, and I'm coming home and nobody talks to me, right? But we all have hard days. We're choosing our hard.
Right.
But what's energizing you? What's fueling you? Overall, are you living a great life? Are you proud of the life you're living? When you look back at it at 80, 90 years old, do you feel that was a life worth living?
Yeah, you've got to be happy about that. That's a big thing. Totally. And I went through a life change recently did some work on
Boxers
the house.
to briefs.
Right? Yeah, boxers to... I remember doing it when I was 8 years old. I did that change, and I never going back.
I still do pull-ups.
Never.
I don't know if that's...
Oh, wait, no, I actually made the switch from briefs to boxers, and then I'm back to briefs.
Thanks for informing
good-looking briefs.
Yeah, I'm sure the audience wants to know.
Wait, the briefs are...
exact brand.
The briefs have... Wait. The briefs are... I gotta educate myself on this. Okay, all the ladies out there who are thinking these promiscuous things about IJ over here, just change... I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you on that. They're tight brief. Okay, anyway. Right. Okay. So now, as we kind of get to our last 10 minutes for sure, because we got to break the record here. And whatever, maybe we'll go an hour 40. No. Well, so what are some, I know we wanted to discuss some things, some therapies, because we had a lot of followers and fans reach out and say, Ahuva, what kind of therapies are out there that I could use to enhance my life, to enhance my relationship? Are psychedelics something I should try? And so I wanted to put that out on the floor and have you be able to converse with us about that. Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's so many different modalities and type of therapy out there. And I also love to say that therapy isn't the only therapy. So I feel when we're talking about what type of experiences can I have to connect with myself and make sure that I'm a healthy self, there's so many different ways to go about that, from yoga to continued education to spirituality to therapy, right? And if we're zooming in on therapy, there are so many different types of therapy, and it depends what you might be struggling with. We were talking about somebody in pain cannot be alone with themselves and cannot recharge because they can't be alone with themselves. So if somebody is dealing with that type of pain, usually there's trauma involved, and regular psychotherapy can be great. There's also different modalities that really are through the body, less talking, which could be great for trauma because not everyone wants to talk through the things they've been through, and a lot of people don't even have clear memory of things that they've been through because that's a safety mechanism that our brain will shut down and not be as aware.
Yeah, the mind totally blanks out those heavy traumas.
Great therapy, honestly, has much more to do with having a good shidduch with your therapist than actually what therapy you're in most of the time. If you went to therapy and it didn't work, you hear that, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't a good shidduch.
Yeah.
You need to have a good chemistry with the person. You need to feel safe because everything you're going to learn about yourself is reflected through them. And you need to feel they're a great mirror to you and they're creating enough safety for you to be honest and vulnerable over time. It doesn't mean on the first session, it's dating.
Right. Yeah.
I feel therapy nowadays is just a must. I don't see it as a luxury anymore because of the amount of pain we're in as a generation, as a society. I cannot imagine not having my session every single week, probably for like 15 years now. It helps that I'm in the field, right, to have supervision and have people that I talk to. But I just can't imagine navigating through. One of the things I told a recently married friend is I literally would have been divorced 10 to 15 times already if not been in therapy. A newly married couple cannot not be in therapy. You're not getting through the difficulties of being a newlywed, especially as an older single, without being in therapy.
Yeah.
My husband and I got married and we were, quote, older single. Please, I was 24, he was 25, but I felt ancient.
Wow.
I felt ancient.
Old.
And we took all our wedding money and we went to therapy for 6 months. We
What?
picked a very expensive therapist
That's crazy.
in the city. And there was no honeymoon. This was the honeymoon.
What? I look at you two and I'm like, these two were soulmates. They had no problem. What? I'm dismayed now. Wait, what's going to happen with me?
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing necessarily, there wasn't anything wrong, but I wanted to make sure that we were doing it right.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very different perspective where people wait for a crisis and then they go to couples therapy. Right. Why are you waiting for that? Yeah. You're two different people coming from different backgrounds, from different families. You're going to run into in-law stuff. You're going to run into sexual stuff. You're going to run into financial stuff. The first 6 months of marriage, isn't that the most vulnerable time? Shouldn't you be in a holding space where you could talk through all these things so you're not fighting about them for them?
Yeah, so just some connection issues there. Yeah, I totally, I hear that. I got to process that. Gosh, man, I was cashing in on that chuppah money to pay off the truck or whatever, pay off the whatevers. So,
and hopefully you'll have enough for everything. But I do think that therapy nowadays, good therapy, and I know it's hard to find the good ones, but it's really trusting your gut, trusting your instinct, making sure that you feel safe, and heard and seen and known by the person that you're with.
Yeah.
And if you do have specific trauma, going for specific trauma therapy where you can help resolve that so that you could be more of a whole, safe, healed person to bring into a marriage. And then once you are married, I would totally recommend make it date night. That's what we did because we were living in Muncie. Our therapist was in the city. And we made it date night. So every Thursday night we had therapy and dinner. And it was date night. Yeah.
That's cute. Avery, we should do that.
As long as you pay.
I was going to say, as long as you pay. Yeah. You're the city boy. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you have to do to better or quell your pathologies, try it out. That's what I tell people because I know our brothers and sisters out there.
It's not all pathological.
Yeah.
Getting into a new relationship, living with someone, having to deal with their parents,
right, it's like ideal.
With yours.
Yeah.
It's just a lot's going to come up, and we don't necessarily have the tools to navigate those types of situations without hurting the relationship. That's the thing. It's going to come up. It's normal. Can you navigate it without disrupting the relationship? It's really, really hard. It's really difficult. So I would say 6 months. Let's go. Put in those 6 months while things are good, while you still love each other.
Wow. Can you imagine? That's interesting. But it's in many religious communities, immigrant religious communities, it's verboten. It's not
2023. So everyone just has to grow
Everyone's
up
cool
and
now,
take care
right?
of their relationship.
But the problem is you don't find that in that open-mindedness in everybody. And that's the battle, I think,
Yeah,
That's
well, those are the people that come into therapy when everything's falling apart. So it's your choice.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You come in when things are good to keep them good, or you come in when things are falling apart. You choose.
Yeah, you choose. You hear that? Brindy and Sprints out there? Who you are. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, there was this girl on the Gedale Fenster event. So it wasn't really his event, by the way. It was Steve Eisenberg. That's his name, Steve Eisenberg. And Gedale was the guest of honor, as Holy Shid Ahuva was at the Build a Bias singles weekend in Connecticut. So it was, and so I'm hanging out. I'm with my friend. We're upstairs by the pool. We're all chilling by the pool and everything. And this girl comes over. I start talking to her, and everything's just going really well. Really well. So I go to my friend, I'm like, what's wrong with this girl? I don't know. There's something wrong. I can't point it out. He's like, let me give it a try. So he starts talking to her. And he's like, I've got it. What is it? Is her ear bigger than the other? Is her eye twitching? Or what is it? I can't point it out. He's like, she's 100% normal. I'm like, yes, that's it. This girl was calm and adorable. No trauma, nothing. She held it perfectly well together. But we're so used to dealing with people who got a little drama going on in their life. I was shocked. I couldn't tell you. She was from Philly. She was modern, probably conservative-ish. Telling you. So
yeah, but maybe that's also your own stigmatizing of single people. What's wrong with her that she's still around?
It was subconscious. It was subliminal. I didn't even realize. I was like, what is? There's, I guess, something. I think it's more the New Yorker in me. I'm rough. I'm more New Yorker, but it could be that. I could be. So how about psychedelics? Should Avery join me and my company on the psychedelic retreat, actually in Rockland County? They're doing it in Rockland. Yeah,
fun.
They're doing it in your former alma mater over there.
Cool.
They're doing it. So what about
yeah, I mean, psychedelics is the new therapy, right? Like
everyone's doing it now.
Everybody seems to be doing it. Should you do it? Should you not do it? I guess that's a longer, very individual discussion, because there are people that definitely should not do it. But for the people that I've worked with professionally that have had psychedelic experiences while in treatment with me, not with me, but accessory treatments where we spoke about it before and they came back after to integrate what happened, it has been completely life-changing for them. It has sped up their healing process 100 times faster than it would have been otherwise. And I can't ignore that. I can't ignore the impact of what they were able to. It's sometimes you could hear something a million times, but then it finally sinks in and you're able to change your life with that information. It's everything sinks in. Everything that they know, everything that they felt, everything that they've heard, everything they've been working on, all their experiences finally just sink in, and they're able to change their lives. And it's been amazing. It's been such an honor to journey with these clients. They're so brave. It is not fun. Psychedelics are not always fun.
Yeah.
I see it as a birth.
You throw up.
They're in labor. They're birthing themselves. And it is not fun. But no, I haven't met anyone who regrets it. I haven't met anyone that had a bad trip. I know it exists. There are people that should not do it. You have to be very careful with who you're with, the environment you're in, the intentions that you set. So much goes into making sure that it's a therapeutic experience. But the people that have done it right, with good leadership, with good support in the right settings, I cannot ignore what has happened in their lives.
I love that. And I have totally come around to it as I kind of do a little bit more research on it, and Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. And look, if you got some things that you need that clarity and that sense of peace, and you've been trying other things, going to therapy, doing therapeutical things, putting yourself out there, whatever you're doing, and like, you're ready to take it to the next level. You'll just know. That's really the answer. You'll know when you're ready to take it to the next level and you want to make it happen, and I'm ready to do this. That's when you're ready. Because your mind it's so complex, and it's just it's just storing things, I guess, in certain cortexes of the brain. I don't know if that's a thing.
Also firing up so many neurons that are not normally all firing at the same time.
Yeah.
So it allows for parts of your brain to really be activated and communicate with other parts of your brain that normally don't.
Yeah.
So you're having a crazy experience.
I heard a psychotherapist named Heather Berlin, who's a neuroscientist at NYU. I actually saw a presentation of hers, and she showed us pictures of the brain when the neural pathways are connected while on psychedelics, and she showed us when they're not. And the same neural pathways that are connected are the same ones in your brain when you are doing something creative, singing, creating music, art. Like I'm talking about improv actually connects those same pathways, funny enough.
Incredible.
And it takes you out of your... Studies have shown that it limits your anxiety. It increases the amount of anxiety because it increases the amount you rely on what it's called the middle of your brain. I don't know what the
cerebral cortex. I don't know.
Cerebral cortex, not the frontal cortex.
The frontal lobe.
The second part of your brain, and that's where the creativity spark comes from. And that's why I found it to be really fascinating and interesting. And it has, I mean, for me at least, I know firsthand, I can attest that using those parts of my brain has definitely decreased my anxiety in so many areas of life by just doing more creative thinking and stuff. So maybe psychedelics can help. Who knows?
Yeah, and maybe therapy is not the only therapy, and psychedelics are not the only psychedelic. There are ways for us to access those heightened states that don't include psychedelics. People get there through breathing and meditation and creativity and art and music and song. Sound baths are really big. I know here in Florida they're big. I hope to go to one this week. There are so many ways to light up your brain and to open up these pathways that are not just psychedelics, but psychedelics just work fast and easy, right? And other things are more of a discipline that you need to learn and practice and get better and better and better at, so that you can actually access those states on your own. People do it through hypnosis. There's no one way.
Yeah.
It's just a quick, not even easy, I won't say easy, it's a quick way to access that state of mind, but it's not the only way. And of course, building into your life ways that you're constantly being able to have euphoric feelings and feelings where your brain is communicating and open and experiencing and finding pleasure and loving your life is much more important than having one psychedelic trip or 10 psychedelic trips. Like what you're doing on a constant is really where it's at.
Yeah.
But to have these plugins once in a while, I mean, people are really seeing their lives take off in magnificent ways.
Now, being that this could be one of our last times, at least for the foreseeable future, Ahuva on the show, I have to ask you, what do you think about hookup culture?
What do you think about hookup culture?
Hookup culture. Or do
I think we've totally discussed this, no?
We
could go there again. I think it was reviewing it.
We can do it.
And repeating.
We talked about the guy. Okay, no.
But it recently came up on the Shid because I put up some type of meme that was, I'm done with skin to skin, I need soul to soul, right? And there was a lot of comments coming in, but sometimes I just need skin to skin. I don't have my soul to soul. So should I also not have skin to skin? And it's sort of hookup culture, right? I don't have what I really, really, really want.
Yeah.
But I could really use some contact and some even simulation of love and connection. Now, the problem is that we usually feel a lot worse after that type of interaction, right? So it's a bell curve. So you're feeling pretty down, you have some type of hookup, you're feeling up, and then you end up crashing down lower than how you started out. Just sort of highlights the loneliness and the disconnection. So it's anything. It's alcohol, it's drugs, it's anything. You took it to feel better, and then you feel worse than how you started.
Oh,
so it's something to think about.
Not me. I'm the opposite.
You're the opposite?
I think. I don't know.
Better after a hookup?
Yeah. Hey, Sally, and good seeing you. We gotta hook up sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe there's
Daniels felt good for a minute.
Oh!
Maybe
Avery was there.
Maybe there's a discrepancy between men and women. I think for many women that I've spoken to, they end up feeling worse after. Maybe it's different for men. Maybe for men, it's just sort of like getting a chicken sandwich. Like,
I think it's very accomplishing. Yeah.
We take woman and then conquer.
I think it's very accomplishing.
Take fire and wheel.
Yeah, I think it's a very accomplishing thing. It's hunting, exactly, right, because we're hunters. Yeah, we want to be hunters. Yeah, let's just say, look, I close a deal at work. It's the same. I'm telling you, it's just, and even just also, I think it's good to give the effort a chance as well, to acknowledge the effort as well. We just went to a wedding, Avery and I, and Avery saw my get handed to me by these 3 Bukharian girls, but every guy there said, "Wow, Held's got game."
Hold on a second. I don't think that's what. I don't remember that story.
Well, you remember
it.
That's how
like
it
one
happened.
Of those scenes in the movies when they go to
that's
the dream picture. When the shows and the sitcoms.
Yes.
when the dream thing happens, and you're like, that's not how I remember it.
That's not how I. No, but that's how it happened.
How is it?
Oh wait, you were at the end though. You were
that's
at the end.
How I remember it.
No, that girl was spitting at me. She was just spitting at me.
Yeah. And I guess that this discrepancy between men and women is actually what leaves women feeling so empty. As guys are full and then they move on. Where girls are, is he thinking about me? Does he want me to come by again? Is he into me? Can this be more? Right? So, and of course I'm generalizing. It could be not all girls are this, but listen, being with somebody physically causes attachment and connection for sure in women. The hormones released during physical intimacy definitely make you feel connected to the person you're with. So for girls, for sure, it's not over when it's over. You're feeling more alone and more disconnected and more anxious. Should I have done that? That was dumb. Whatever the feelings are, they're usually not that great.
So I would say I'm getting educated now by the Fresh and Fit podcast, Kevin Samuels community, the MGA, Misogynist Brotherhood of America. No, these guys, and I actually liked one thing they had mentioned, and it was that most of these girls you're mentioning, they're chasing after this 5% of guys who are Rosh Yeshiva's class, good looking. I'll tell you these guys and that guys, and they kind of ruin it. They ruin it for everybody. Those guys, those simps, they call them simps in the community. Like who the bad guy is here, because the simps kill it for all of us. They kill it for all of us, man. You got the alpha, and then you got these simps. So the alphas, they're chasing after the alphas, and these guys they're such a small percentage. And yeah, they can have anybody they want, and they're not even generally interested in a relationship because they're so up here on they're at that level where not so many people could compete on. To kind of give the A-Rod J-Lo analysis, you have A-Rod who is and who would A-Rod go well with? You'd think J-Lo, but it just that's not the case. That didn't work. And then you got women who are very empowered, and they're very high valued. That's the term they use, high valued women. And I think how many guys are out there past a certain age. So it's more to come. More to come on another pod. But we're hit. Look, we set the record longest podcast. An hour 45. We got the longest record now. Thank you, Ahuva.
Now it's way past my bedtime.
Yes, and Avery too. Avery's already sleeping. He has his little PJ cap on.
Amazing.
And he's mad. And my phone's going to die. All right. So, Ahuva, where can the people follow you? Where can they find you for those first timers? If you're living under a rock, you don't know who this chick is.
Yeah. Well, the same way you found me on Instagram at holy__shid, or you can email me at Ahuva Shandelman at gmail.com.
Ooh,
and I'm ready to connect. I don't know. Hit me up.
Awesome. People, where to find us? Avery, a.k.a. Avery and IJ, and the podcast we talk about guys and gals getting together and passionately discussing the love, the hate, the adornment we have for the Shidduch journey, the American Jewish dating system in the 21st century, bro. 21st century, 2023. And it's a pleasure to be here with y'all. And Ahuva, thank you very much.
Thanks
Ahuva,
for having
thank
me.
you. Yeah, and we'll be in touch about
So great having you on. I miss you.
Yeah, we'll have if we do the last episode, we'll have everyone. We'll call up everyone. They'll say their five. How I met. They're gonna be How I Met Your Mother. How I Met Everybody else. So we'll all find out how we met each other.
Sounds awesome.
Okay.
It's been real. It's always a pleasure, guys.
All right.
Come
bye.
visit me in Florida.
We will.
And we'll speak soon.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Good night.
All right, people. Episode 98 is in the books. Avery, the people want to hear a little music. And follow us, guys, by the way, at Nobody Talks Shidduchim on Instagram. At Shidduchim pretty much everywhere else is at Shidduchim. What do we got here on the playlist? I don't think this is popular anymore. What's popular? This one. Avery's like dancing. All right, Nobody Talks Shidduchim. Where to find us? ShidduchPodcast.com, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's exciting. Anything could be.